Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Brad Walter, and today I'm going to be providing a lesson on instrument flying, specifically planning an instrument flight plan. And I don't have a student with me today, so I'm going to be using you, my audience, as my student for this lesson. And to start things off, instrument flying is definitely definitely can be challenging, but there are a lot of benefits to it, and it can be a very rewarding experience as well. One of the biggest benefits to being an instrument-rated pilot is it increases your knowledge of the aircraft and makes you a much safer pilot, and also removes some of the limitations on when you can fly when you need to get places when the weather's not great. I hope you enjoy. The objective for this lesson is going to be to prepare and plan a cross-country flight with one landing at least 100 nautical miles from the departure airport. And so yeah, we're going to cover all of our pre-flight actions that we need for this flight plan. Plan a suitable route that we'll be able to take with the aircraft and our qualifications. Make sure we're calculating our fuel, time, distance, and everything required for the flight. And then also we're going to go through the steps on how to file an IFR flight plan. All right, the first thing we want to do prior to planning our IFR flight plan is to, just like any other flight, make sure that we are legal to actually do this flight. So our pilot qualifications, since you are the student, I am an IFR rated instructor and CFII, so Certified Flight Instructor with instrument. So that makes pilot qualifications legal for this flight. You are not IFR rated, but I'm an instructor, so we can complete the flight. As far as aircraft certifications, we're flying the Piper Arrow. We fly multiple times here from the flight club, and it is an IFR certified aircraft, so the aircraft does qualify to do this flight as well. Our environment, we'll get into that in a little more detail in the next slide, as far as if we're good for weather. And then external pressures, what kind of pressures do we have to complete this flight? And really the only one is it's for training, so the only pressure is to get that check in the block for being able to do the flight, so definitely no need to take any unnecessary risk. Alright, next we gotta go through our required pre-flight items. So I like using the mnemonic NW Craft to make sure I'm covering everything that's required to check before flight. And the tool that I like to use the best for checking these things is my electronic flight bag. So I use 4Flight, and this is a great tool because I can go through and look at all of our stuff in text. There's a lot of NOTAMs occasionally, and listening to them over the phone. If you end up calling 1-800-WX-BRIEF, I tend to maybe miss some things here and there. So I really like being able to see all this stuff in text. But yeah, you can put in your flight plan and then go through all the different stuff via the flights tab and then the briefing tab in 4Flight, and that works really well for me. And then as far as takeoff and landing, our airports for takeoff and landing distance of the runways, we can pull up the plates for each airport and ensure that we have a long enough runway for our takeoff and landing distances for aircraft. Alright, and as you can see to the left here of a screenshot of the IFR flight plan that we put together. Another really good tool with 4Flight is you can put in your departure and destination airports, and then if you look on the top right hand side, those little tabs to the right there, the one says routes, and if you click on that, there will be some routes that people have flown and filed in the past, and you can just look to see like what altitude they filed and what type of aircraft it was, and then select one of those that's already planned out. It just helps with the process and makes it a little smoother for ATC as well. And then it'll just put those points in there, and this is what that route came up with for me. Instead to fly at 5,000 feet, it's 125 nautical miles, 57 minutes with the winds, and then total fuel will be about 25 gallons. And the big thing to know about using ForeFlight for all this stuff is you want to make sure you have good information going in. So I pulled all the information that I put into ForeFlight right from the POH for the Aero. So if you don't put good information into it, you're not going to get a good product out of it. So always ensure you're very thorough, and then double check yourself via paper, nav log, and weight and balance before just going right into using ForeFlight for your flight planning. Alright, so in conclusion today, we planned a IFR flight plan from KCRG to KHXD, and it's becoming an IFR pilot is going to be a necessary step if you plan on becoming a professional pilot in the future and want to just keep on progressing your flying career. Ultimately, it's going to make you a much safer pilot, having that knowledge, and in case you do encounter that weather that you weren't expecting, you're prepared for it because you've had the training and you're ready to take it on. There's a great deal of planning that goes into it, but I believe a lot of satisfaction comes out of being able to do all those steps as well. I hope you enjoyed. And these are the references that I used along with the POH to put all this information together.